Hello, human species value nature system. This is about news, and this is about interbranch, and this is about intercampuses. No, I was talking about intercampuses since before they brought this into the news. This is about what courts are communicating, not just demonstrating, because they are recorded communicating other than they say, and these are with crime methods, with them maintaining uses of the areas in collusion with what knew they were going to do that before they were sophistication. Per a method that was entrenched here since before our founders' births, recorded, for example, there are people, a whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court that recorded, confessed, and communicated and demonstrated that they have crime rolls with various natures of women judges, with more than three, and a whole bunch of male judges retired and standing, on off CCSU and on off Trinity College, on off UConn, on off interstates college with these same cliques, intercities crime methods, cover up of lie progressions, uses of standing all tied private and other tied to, small world, big world exploitations, all tied to time too fast, too slow, use sick fakes for legal nature integrity, for the substance of what they're actually saying. If you call it to report things properly, they'll hurt you, and or they'll settle your, as what's settling you into roles with fake care. They use the Governor Malloy, and they used a meeting with WFSB, recorded, confessed, involved with sequence shifts, attaching family members to fake conversations about their family members behind their back so they wouldn't know, but that's recorded per phenomena anyway, because of their roles with sequence shifts. Federal crimes with people in cases that my father beat. Their roles with crimes with male crime cliques, with various natures of courts and their family members involved criminally, on off the state judicial branch. They have crime methods, crime acts, and natures recorded, preventing mandated law interbranch by pretending they can't be told on. With their recorded standing criminal uses, they use the whole. They use they're maintaining all victim predators because per the how the branches are individually criminally involved, but they're also how they're grouped criminally involved, and then it's also how they are simultaneously criminally involved together. It's how they're exploiting how we are a human fact treatment nature, and conformed originally to valuing roles as standing criminal insidiousness natures in relationship to the organized crime method that had everyone's value of identity of the relationship to the ground and to the value of our fact treatment nature out of this. Time is in demonstration of forever nature's course. Boxings to force you fools, fake sides. You guys are child abuse branches. And now we could heal this real fast, but we have them invested too much, too deep. Criminally, of just defending titles, already had this theater on each age. This is exploiting inter campuses with inter programs like Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts. They're using the sensibilities of each age of fact treatment nature with crime methods perfected, other natures of crime, all bonded as a method that maintained all bonded liars, roles to what was propagated here to keep all formal standing database relationships, to keep each standing positives fact treatment nature, criminally foreign influence fact treatment nature, standing criminal insidious natures like wrongdoing, mass wrongdoers. These are criminal insidious crime terms associated with criminal enterprises. Also, they are recorded crime acting with federal criminals, with juxtaposed overt criminal enterprises with areas, and involved with the crime uses of the databases, inter-branch, inter-campuses, and inter-online platforms, and inter-media. See, now they're all in collusion with that because they're fit to jobs as experts, forced to rely on experts who originally were facilitated to exploit that. And that was built to maintain everyone all roles with juxtaposed motivations, natures, needs, and interests to defend positive, but by being quality of fact treatment nature, you can't defend that and afford to have someone have understood for others and for themselves. Free speech with sequence true, with inherent what is inherent true, what is active true, and what is progressive true, and trying to be what is true always, not a denying exception. Because there is one exception in nature that is in demonstration to all answers as real science. See, but we still have the science that is alter roles, shut up or hurt, or you're hurt. And in this method, that is where anyone could, before anyone could have any type of unity to any depth, before that depth, whoever gets anywhere near capable of countering the organized crime method and or blaming it on other things, valuing it, the real causes of negative value nature, progression, action natures tied to this. Again, criminal insidiousness natures like wrongdoers, wrongdoing, acts like predicate acts. These are organized crime terms, not a lawyer, not a police form, not a criminal. This is recorded through time. I'm an expert on the nature of English grammar. Each value of English is a nature of volume. See, we also have experts on linguistics recorded with crimes and crime methods and crime roles, a whole bunch of them juxtaposed their roles with a whole bunch of doctors, foreign and domestic, and overt criminal enterprises and regular, victim predator of all natures associated with hospital triages, the mental side of it. These people are involved with the crimes. See, this is keeping the words like, because this is originally instilled that we had that their organized crime roles with logic, with failure of having discerned by the obligations of our education, the different how and by the obligations of what American history is really about, which is the difference between how criminal insidiousness nature needs to use the identity nature of the logic of volume, of the nature of logic. The identity of logic. Logic has an identity of volume. It's an identity of nature. That's psychology, a whole bunch of nations individually grouped in together, where our crime acts, roles, and methods recorded with various natures of courts at once already. They are maintained for that originally and still propagated to be exploited where and how they have standing line progressions to each area valued. They need to keep each age of fact treatment nature. For example, told that American history is, they have glorified the stolen identities of our founders who didn't have free speech. They again only had it to arrange, and that was only enabled for them having to, everyone was distinctly hurt, sickly. What they did was preemptively counter what they were bringing in stages for what effectively worked, which has maintained self-valued, criminally foreign influenced human fact treatment nature roles, propagated, criminally foreign influenced. Opinion nature is criminally foreign influenced on a mass scale, breaching screening roles and tools. We never had patriotism let voice. We never had it let be capable of voice. And this is also in natures of identity theft miss. Also, how maintained self-valued by branches, victim predators need to highlight progressions. And needing to hide value mistreatments of each age of fact treatment age of volume. So they're using crime methods like that. New Britain Superior Court recorded confessed. There's a woman I never got to speak with, a judge. You know, that she could play rhetoric or semantics, say things like that, but she has to use time too fast, too slow to avoid reality. Which is before I was in her position, that was forced per her court's roles with crimes in other cases, and leading up to that, and with her crimes recorded and confessed by the court that she's involved with forging names interbranch, various natures of police forms intercities, forging names with women judges, crimes with child sex offenders, with medical families, and with interbranch families associated with a principal child offenders campus. If you call up to report these things, they make up things. They used a whole bunch of people tied to two Mendez police brothers, to a whole bunch of Joe DeMoros and people with the name Joe D. That was, for, in other words, with Fox Connecticut News and with WFSB federal crimes and cases, and with and criminal uses of depositions, crime rolls with wire crimes, criminal uses of identity, the ground, lengths and tied to it. They know this person is going to be walking here. So now they were obligated. You know, so now they're maintaining, in other words, they're maintaining lie progressions, because what's actually recorded reveals that we have interbranch actors in states and areas, interbranch criminally foreign influence, having been using their kids, crime acts roles with child offenders, needing to hide their roles, having with interbranch drug cliques and doctors, medical and foreign. Also, how recorded, how maintained this criminally foreign influence through a whole bunch of nations there and here, maintained on off campuses by what knew that branches would only be capable of valuing lie progressions, that they can maintain facilitated means for them to hide while they have standing needs to. They can't pretend they're capable of having one free election in a way that has all states and areas, all fact treating nature roles, can't even defend how the president's position, because the FBI is criminally foreign influence. It's defense of an identity as misprision and criminality. It's saying other than its individual actors say. It's pretending it has the right to lie criminally because it's roles with sequence shifts. It's roles with perjury rackets. It's roles with criminal uses of lawyers who are left with precedents left as with like a whole bunch of magic tricks, self-value, maintain self-value, because no one has the time to counter because of time impositions too. And per this what extends this on distinctly on, starts at grammar school, but it's each age of fact treatment nature simultaneously, consciously, methodically. This came since before modern nations. All we need for instant evolution is recorded. Forever nature is an instant nature. Then what's gradual is just from there even better and better. When that goes away, you know that messed up. So we're not adapting because we have the republic left criminally foreign influenced. Roles with that are a whole bunch of people with democracy as a charged narrative in their head, because in other words, used as a breaching tool roles. That's not democracy. In other words, you have to pretend that the other, as these breaching screens, they have to pretend they're about voting. They have to pretend they're things about democracy. They're not about free speech. Free speech is science. They're not about journalistic processes. So they have to pretend to be about morality, going against people who are paying for their kids. They have to keep those people. What's worse than that, way worse than that, is keeping those people, those sensibilities, everyone needing to hide different roles with states near as lie progression, speaking through other. Intercampuses, intercity of each age, each nature. So we have medical campuses, we have fire campuses, also criminally involved here. So once you have them criminally involved and stuff like that, then they have to hide lie progression facilitated, needed, because everyone's speaking through others. Everyone's just trying to be, So in other words, we have branches with no manners. We have the media with no manners. So now they need to offensively sustain crimes against people, and then when they react, they criminally pretend they have manners because of that, and they compare. See, for example, they're as victims, but as victim predators because they're preventing mandated law. Because the sources of CNN Interbranch have recorded crime acts rolls, and these are crimes with Russians. These are Russians and Americans pretending Americans have conspiracy, pretending Russians have conspiracy there with a whole bunch of other nations. Pakistan is real sick with psychology. Don't pretend you're about Islam and be about psychology. I know you guys are victims, but you guys are victim predators. You guys are roles with the foreign and domestic interbranch on off town line drive with the intercampuses, criminal justice cliques, crime acts, roles, methods on and off the state judicial branch office, on off the state prison offices with the database identity theft cliques. Time down to where they tried to make, in other words, there are people that didn't even go to my school. Mike Kerr went for a short period of time. So if I say now, I never had anything. I never had a class with him, not one class with him. Never went to my school. A couple times he had a locker right next to mine with a Heather Hansen. Her and all other people on her street are recorded and confessed involved in federal crimes with people with predicate acts that were in the Trade Center attack context. Their crime acts rolls with Trade Center victims with sexual circles. So their sensibilities were drawn through what can't have a conversation about the past now. Because I don't know Dan Keene. They pretended I know him by putting me in an election against him for school president. They did that, for example. In other words, in other words, they had recorded, confessed, and demonstrated database crime rolls, drug crime rolls. They were supposed to report what I filmed when I was a kid. See, this is tied to an O'Brien family, also with Sandy Hook child offenders with databases, and with the principal child offenders campus further with the Wethersfield police chief, his daughter, and his extended family member recorded and confessed with a whole bunch of other people in the Britain Superior Court, retired and standing judges, crimes with John Maiano, a bunch of people with federal criminals associated with the Dillon family with him, and with fake news crime acts with them criminally with database their crimes with criminal uses of body dumping spots with predicate acts cliques like mail crimes with foreign and domestic military families and MPs with predicate acts roles like MPO Floyd and Justin Klavinskis and his wife Lucinda recorded and confessed. Now she's one of the people that needs to pretend she knew me from the past criminally because she was recorded and confessed by my school and by her husband involved with her recorded and confessed crime rolls now with people associated with houses around the Samuel Dix house and locations on and off Wells Road, on that road that goes right by. There's and on and off locations next to campuses with people involved with identity thefts, with her family, with the police forms. There's also a Parker English with women associated with military and foreign and domestic criminality with judges, with sequence shifts in cases and stuff already. Then they have to pretend to another, so they're giving permissions for warrants and things like that because they have all these people originally still NAVed with them, a whole bunch of other nations. They have in West Hartford, they have associated with a whole bunch of people through time with Asian families, with like the DeMauro Kerr Italian and Latin gangs, and their brothers involved crimes with databases and with the shared policing of stores. Caldor and a Cromwell and police forms interbranch in private and prisons tied to them and doctors foreign and domestic in Cromwell. Crimes with their patients and criminals associated with boxing gyms with identity theft rackets. roles placing people to fake words, fake conversations, fake locations. These are people with crimes with a serial killer tied to. These are this is these are people with serial killers, medical corruption, also recorded, confessed, and tied to, you know, media and their roles with the briefing of them on off campuses, like with, see, because we have imperfect world left valued for a breaching organized crime method that American history is really about. See, they're playing fact cheaping nature racket, pretend sacrifice. They're using, sacrifice for breaching screen, which was forced. Breaching screen roles with what brought us into World War I and World War II and every war since. That's why George Washington had to leave overt slavery in Connecticut, in this town, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War with color. That's why and how he would go out of his mind livid, yelling regarding how the Constitution was left abridged, how that's not, how it wasn't demonstrated using correlation, how he didn't have free speech. He wanted us to demonstrate using the demonstration they did. To the extent he did, we're supposed to connect that to the identity of the ground. I'll gather round. So there's also a Aiello family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with others. See, they make everyone speak through others. So they brought Johnny Duke, the dinosaur of boxing. He's reportedly dead now. But they kept him, in other words, they keep everyone's sensibility speaking through others, but whereas now they have judges involved with them criminally, various natures of agencies, people associated with Willie Pep, through time, criminally enter cities, very crime rolls with what built, enforced the pathology of the homes, the way they were going to be in suburbs, and Hartford to be a suburban/urban, the way it is, and then to unfold where they would turn most of the homes into 2-family, 3-family. They designed this to keep, not only to cause and to cause negative value nature progressions, acts and natures, but to keep them blamed on other things and others themselves, and then roles valuing that. This kept our Justice Department, our Washington, D.C. Trade Center attack with their here, nations with quality of fact cheaping nature, identities of organized crime countering bodies originally instilled in collusion, as identities of badges, of identities of law that you can't defend in us at the same time. Every identity of value has A on the left of it, right, W on the right of it, in demonstration of, in other words, not literally, but in demonstration of exactly how distinctly and non-distinctly one identity will always stay bigger than right. This is not just for pinpoint of coordinates and stuff like that. This is for the pinpoint of the difference between the identity of contrast and the identity of correlation. And its further inseparable relationship to what is self-generating is, and as what forces positive or negative value nature progressions, acts and natures. Really. See, this is what originally still had branches, again, propagated as criminal insidiousness nature tools, reaching screens, per uses of identities of the ground, awe, and per uses of time, treatments, awe, formal, and then needing that justified because people talk about things, stuff like that, because they're facilitated to it. That per the method, this is a breaching organized crime. The only method countries usually have these same fake justice, valuing Russian and here valuing fake identity, only let realized. The Russian infrastructure and zoning laws and American zoning laws, for example, all these nations, but they have criminally foreign influence zoning laws. We have a shared enemy that forced these pathology of all homes. that force these pathology of identities used criminally and no free speech here and there, and only breaching screen tools, pretending other, valuing all kind of database rackets. If you try to call to report things, they'll lie about the substance of your conversations. They'll lie about what is actually recorded. And see, no, we have to be able to report this to have mandated law because of the crime methods with the courts pretending they can't be told on. And then that's per them grouped and not just individually criminally involved with Russians too. With crime, they have Russians and Americans with all kinds of natures of crimes with psychology. They were involved, note, with torture of all kinds of natures, way worse than that. Identity thefts, medical crimes together, all kinds of natures. Criminal uses of the power. They call legislation. Do something. It's legislation. Show the people. They have people. That's pretending. People offensively pretending to be positive. If you ask them to help when it comes down to it, when identities of the ground locations are being used as they were originally and still, not just churches alone. These are all involved with that, and then they have the precedents criminally foreign influenced, and they know that, so they make lenience with that for people. But they're using that to hide the roles, which keeping it, and that's way worse too, because all private tied to our branches, various natures of courts are criminally involved with them. Criminal uses of the DMV on off its locations, standing criminal institutions. Then they can't. They say if you see something, report it. Then those people have to defend what they report. They're investing people to roles that way. They're discrediting valid information. And so these are people. This is how they're maintaining each branch raised as a victim predator. This is how they have the overt criminal enterprises involved with the campus's databases. This is how they have recorded Farmington Avenue, Robert Chevrolet, on off his location, with a whole bunch of people with a John Maiano, and associated with coaches criminally used. And there's one named Hagenbar. He was my grammar school gym teacher. I never had a personal conversation with him in grammar school. Then he was my high school one. I never had a personal conversation in high school, even though I stayed back 1 year. And see, that was recorded, tied to their crime method role. I recorded. See, they were supposed to report things years ago. What I caught them doing, I filmed it for a health class, because this was people in high school who made confessions about people that I knew about what they were making confessions about, because people in middle school had made confessions about it, and about it started in grammar school. And now I found out those people who made those confessions in middle school because they were pretending they were in conversations with me in grammar school that never were, because they were lying about my behavior with interbranch drug cliques and with interbranch family kids, and also involved with overt criminal enterprises with the area criminally through time, originally still, military, foreign, and domestic. Indifferent to all the natures of crimes with medicine platforms per anomaly with the law, and they're not supposed to be about their identity theft racket roles. Criminal uses of in each notion of integrity, because how they're kept using that to hurt any real integrity from having the means to demonstrate of free speech with sequence, true, inherent, active, and progressive means, which are even beyond that. This is what the Santa Claus is about. For example, we'll examine this. That's debatable. But what's not debatable, and how you know it's about that, is because this is how it's about what modern religions are never allowed to voice what they're starting talk. The beginning of the Quran is never let be voice. The beginning of the Old Testament is never let voice, because they're about organized crime. They don't want us to understand criminal insidious natures of positive sensibilities as that. They don't want us to, they pretend, oh, that's politics. We're going to have American history told. We're going to have the on-off campuses relationships with this realized. So if we want to be as victims, then respond to mandated law and respond to me who denies this. Because a whole bunch of people associated with the ad companies, with WFSB, Foxct, Connecticut, people associated with ILO family also recorded, confessed, involved with people with charities criminally used. So then they pretend that they're about positive because that we donate. We donate so many turkeys. These are people involved with crime spots, uses of the policing of the clubs and stuff like that, with identity theft clicks. Because they're going to act something because they're keeping sensibilities that people lied to, but they're pretending it's just about how they have shared policing. These are also Russians and Americans recorded and confessed by the media involved with their narratives, criminal uses of Stephen Colbert's narrative. For example, regarding when they pretend they're about humor, that's not humor. You guys are federal crimes with more child offenders with the principal sex offenders campus. Then and now, they hid it. They have state's attorneys recorded, confessed with a judge, influenced them with other criminal foreign influences. She knew I was going to walk because I tried to tell on this. Worse, I didn't even get to finish telling it. They knew I was going to tell, so they made up things. And they pretended things were recorded. They have two Mendez brothers through time, drugs, crimes rolls, database crime rolls, identity theft, crime acts rolls, with people intercampuses, people with houses next to the high school, and people that go to private schools that are put next to the school, mixed with crime rolls, with databases, distances. This person is going to walk this distance to lunch. This. They're never going to see this person. They're never going to be in a conversation. They're going to maintain because they know they maintained originally and still all eyes of perception, criminally foreign influence, needing to hide that. You keep it used to keep states and areas criminally foreign influence, fake integrity. So we don't have mandated law followed. We have interbranch family members pretending that they have personal reasons why they're using their family criminally with child offenders in the background because they can't do it legitimately because they're sick. They had and used their own family members sick. All the people in the courts. Then they need to use that. What? Oh, you're making allegations against us. They know that's true. That's recorded. They're recorded in the background, criminally pretending things are allegations that they're not. A female judge and a female state's attorney, as a whole bunch of them recorded and confessed, they're in their roles, sticking identity thefts, attaching kids and their family members to fake words, crimes with police forms on off various natures of campuses of each age, forging names, switching names, putting fake things in the databases, crime acts with verbal federal crimes, with overt criminal enterprises associated with campuses. So these are also campuses not by accident associated with training criminal justice people, training sociology, pretend they're trying to investigate things. In other words, these are people associated with that, people trying to pretend about, in other words, intercampuses, evidence reception, jobs, about how you study and research problems. These are people furthering the shootings on Garden Street in North End of Hartford through time. As people criminally involved with on off the state judicial branch offices, on off Weathersfield Police are down the street from it, on off with an Oliveri family, and with a Joshua Stryker, recorded and confessed, involved with a Joshua Julian, and other people involved with houses in my area with the FBI, and with the judges, with the crime acts, with the kids, and with my name, with fake news too. They stole my identity with fake news, told a whole bunch of crime acts lies. They attached me to fake relationships to doctor when I was a kid that never were. These are people with criminal uses of Trinity College, CCSU per originally still natures of, oh, I cut my teeth on the Russians. These are fake Russians that have been here and there in collusion, maintained where we negotiated with terrorism originally, way worse than terrorism we negotiated with. American history is about this organized crime method. We still don't have free speech to tell. They are criminally pretending that it's for reasons like prejudice and things like that, and that other people are prejudiced, so they can pretend non-facts, so they can pretend debatable offensively while they're recorded criminally preventing the demonstrated uh, inter, intercultural cliques criminally involved together, stealing people's identity, valuing having had that already facilitated. Mega education per people associated with their confessed and recorded and demonstrated criminal uses of Sammy Vega and of other people associated with boxing. These are people that were used for crimes with they were facilitated the crime roles with people that were in the Trade Center attack context criminally used leading up to it. And then since with the investigators of that, with Trade Center attack predicate acts like mail crimes, attaching me and my family members to fake words and conversations about legal cases. And as people recorded with the drug clicks with federal criminals that were crimes with foreign and domestic police forms, criminal uses together of areas, locations through time. See, we never had one identity of law capable of countering this per its uses of the intercampuses method, per its uses of identity nature, per its uses of the standing stewards relied upon experts' information that is on and off the records criminally foreign influenced. They have police forms on off Trinity College, on off CCSU, also in collusion with the maintained private policing of these and the campuses that train those. They're all in collusion with physical delusions, shared, for example, with their theories. And then, then to defend that, we have experts that are only capable of valuing a title as an implied credibility, which they know they also recorded. In other words, they have laws and things like that. So this person, if you have a dispute about an issue in a case, they have time treatments and things like that, and you figure out who's right. See, but this is a crime method as preventing mandated law. It has them criminally using all those contexts, all those time treatments, maintaining mistakes in all these cases on purpose. As crime acts rolls with a whole bunch of natures, motivations, natures, needs, interests as standing pseudo-positive natures, as natures of sensibility treatments, that are preventing the mandated law and offensively, dishonestly recorded pretending passions for group rights, for types of things. Because when it comes down to it and you need to report specific crime acts, they're not letting you do it. Fake news is stealing our identities. They pretended also that I had a relationship to a psychologist when I was a kid and mental diagnoses that were never at all. I swear to God under oath, I never had a psychologist when I was a kid. I'm not just trying to hide that. They're using, for example, they're exploiting that anomaly with the interbranch drug cliques that pretended that. Various natures of courts involved with the Leahy family, further involved with crimes with proven child sex offenders, with the family of member of one of the brothers of one, and another one associated with this Leahy family. Other doctors recorded confessed involved with them with sexual crimes. There's a doctor who's forging names, switching names, crime acts rolls with this Leahy family with various natures of courts, and this New Britain Superior Court with a Dr. Zeman. Pretended I had a conversation with him because he forced himself. This is also a guy, he pretended I had a conversation with him. I never had a conversation with him. I sat next to him and I told him I didn't agree with him. This guy's also involved with contorting his body and stuff like that, and he's involved with crimes with gay people, and he's gay, recorded a certain nature of it because these crimes with like sexual circles, and then they pretend to be against prejudice. They pretend people are homophobic and stuff like that. This is a guy recorded involved with crimes. And this is the second, 3 times they forced me into a triage because, and when it's recorded, they recorded themselves criminally having done that to prevent me from countering a Dillon family. Recorded and confessed with these various natures of courts and police forms with my new and past neighbors criminally involved with kids, with untimely deaths that brought up their sex crime acts rolls. That's what brings up their past with people making confessions to me, demonstrations to me out of the way, as people criminally involved with the database crimes, identity theft crime acts, drug crime rolls with Foxct through time. Whole bunch of people with the Domain family, with FBI clicks and judges criminally involved, retired and standing, crime acts rolls with databases. Further, as the people on off campuses connected houses criminally used. They're further criminally involved from off campuses maintaining criminal uses of the identity of the campuses in this way where they have all these sensibilities needed to cause it to keep it blamed on other things others themselves. They're using, they're letting realize, they're victim predators all in the FBI, but they're not letting us demonstrate how they're recorded victims. For example, their treatments of these facts seems out of sequence. Now they're defending that, but out of sequence. So they're defending sequence shift justifications. Perfect world denied, blamed on other causes, other things themselves, with and as what is preventing demonstration of how it's denied. They're preventing demonstration of how they had perfect human nature phenomenon. They had pure victims of the Trade Center attack. But one of the families, for example, is like a Keene family associated with this, is recorded having been used criminally by a whole bunch of Wethersfield police associated with a Heather Hansen and with a Joe DeMoro and with a Mike Kerr with sexual circles, and her son, Dan Keene, was involved with pretending he had pretending I signed up for to run against him in an election. I don't know who signed me up, but those are people involved with database crimes. And as the people that were crime acts leading up to and then in the Trade Center attack from inside the Ninth Circuit had been affected, post-dated documents that were later proven had been hand delivered to the Ninth Circuit and time stamped on time before the Trade Center attack context. So then in that attack context, the panel of judges had been shown proven post-dated documents from inside. They had been post-dated to and then made to appear late before the panel of judges in the Ninth Circuit. There were a whole bunch of other people that were crime acts against me and other people from that context, illusions, identity theft crime acts rolls in that context, leading up to and in and out of the Ninth Circuit. And I wasn't a plaintiff in that case, but federal criminals associated as defendants in that case. And then after that was proven, they were in another part of a case /S. There were co-defendants of Robert Luskin, former director of the FBI, former standing chairperson of RICO law, who was also recorded and confessed involved with more Wethersfield police with local 230 and with more foreign and domestic military and judges and doctors associated them, medical families, foreign and domestic crimes with overt criminal enterprises, with databases, with evidence, with sequence shifts. There was a judge who knew I was going to come through a door because they arrested me with a huge bond and then I had been in jail. I have no police record. Thank God I'm going to keep one now. They're recorded and confessed and demonstrated how they've been framing innocent people through time with these courts. How they've been using child offenders with their own kids before they were doing that as an adults now, they were kids pretend in the background in relationship to those measured crimes with database relationships. Illusions acted between people. And so that Mike, that Mike Kurt, they put his locker there just for a short time for a fact cheating nature racket. I never had a conversation with him. I never had anything to do with him. I barely know him, and they know that, and they can't be honest about any of the contacts I know him because he's involved with the FBI and with CIA, with houses on off the schools, involved with the further child offenders, database crimes, doctors, foreign and domestic, forging names, switching names with various natures of courts, crime acts, methods. So I know I walked to this court. This court was already recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with sexual abuses, preventing mandated law of each age of fact cheating nature on and off CCSU, on and off other ages of campuses since before the Trade Center attack. In a straight line, they were preventing me and the people who asked me for help with such from reporting it. These are criminal crime rules with leading up to that 2006 case with Hartford courts and with New Britain Superior Court. Criminal crime rules with the depositions with that, with their courts, police forms from off before on and off their own campuses. Crime rules with their databases. So they're saying other than they were. So when I come out the door, the lawyer said she's already was recorded, confessed, involved with the Facebook uses of New Britain Superior Court and of those judges with rape threats, with sexual crime acts and stuff like that, fake news crime acts. New Britain Superior Court and these judges are recording involved with spreading lies with fake news and with judges about kids, attaching kids to fake locationships into database narratives that they exploit criminally through time, in conjunction with them pretending to record things for things recorded. This is how when everything plays out, they maintain state scenarios, criminally forward influence. Washington, D.C. and Trade Center clicks with Church Street houses, and then the house on the corner of Church Street and Main Street is recorded, confessed that they're all in crimes with databases, with drugs with kids, crimes with child sex offenders, and with the Wethersfield police chief. So these and they're recorded, confessed. They're Wethersfield police. They do crime methods like forging names, switching names, pretend they make mistakes on police reports, so stacking a whole bunch of fake police reports, and with other police from other cities, where they make it look like it's so complicated you can't figure out what is going on by looking at databases. Maintain criminally foreign influence crime tools for this. So we have not had news through election cycles. There's a former Mayor Gold, and there is a standing one I don't know the name of. And there are other interbranch of all levels, Wethersfield interbranch family members, further on off the state judicial branch, of further criminal uses of what is of white and black families and of sensibilities with recorded victim predators, physical delusions, crime acts rules with what the news has recorded with them, pretending to be against, but the recorded crime acts rolls with them. This is what led up to their crimes with the body dumping of Billy Grasso, with their crimes with child sex offenders associated with cliques associated with a state forensics lab, involved with crimes with their patients and criminals before they were in there, as ones involved with crimes with Sandy Hook. Investigators of that too. Judges involved with that, various natures of courts involved with it, with an O'Brien family, a whole bunch of longtime natures of detectives and stuff like that, retired and standing, criminally involved with Foxct Connecticut News crime acts, methods, and natures recorded, communicated, not just demonstrated. Every time they open their mouths, they're communicating this. They're using semantics and the word rhetoric criminally with the courts because they're victim predators. One-way reports. Fix the fake news, CCSU. Fix the fake news, Fox Connecticut News. Drop the student news. Drop the student news. New Britain Herald. You have a Jack Heitner, and other people who recorded, confessed, involved, and demonstrated involved crimes with police forms and with his building with other people that also the members his crimes with overt criminal enterprises with ties to him, with criminal uses of me with military police, with this Kolvinskis family and others associated with him, and with this Parker English guy, intercities through time. So that house in the corner of CCSU of Church Street in Old Weathersfield, with the other houses on that street, are crime acts rolls with CCSU of serious natures. Crime acts rolls with crime acts with the databases at Trinity College, and untimely deaths on off campuses that are connected with a whole bunch of other crime acts with the actors' roles with it. Investigators like associated with the Dr. Shu, crime acts with a whole bunch of various natures of courts involved with him and his family member, with locations on off WFSB, with a whole bunch of natures of federal crime acts and crime roles, with Enzo Fienza, with people associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, criminal uses of foreign and domestic associated with forensics cliques, with child sex offenders associated with them with crimes, and with a Phil Cololo recorded and confessed further involved with further recorded and confessed intercampuses police with a Mendez brothers with database crimes, drug crimes, identity theft crimes, sequence shifts, other natures of wire crimes, property thefts with various natures of courts and police forms with houses in my area. I never saw them in my area. I don't know them. I only know of them recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminally involved, pretending they had conversation with me with police equipment, pretending they recorded it. They put the name of police equipment and put a quote because they're stuck now because they had them when I was a kid attaching me to fake locations, fake conversations, fake. The whole bunch of people with the Yagman family and his neighbors recorded, confessed, involved with all kinds of overt criminal enterprises, foreign and domestic military drug cliques, identity theft cliques, database crime acts roles with courts that are harassing little girls with child sex offender cliques, and then they use the crime methods of making things up when if parents and other people catch them. Then they use the crime method of having a community meeting as a crime tool method to pretend they were against what they were recorded for then and now. See, they had even the Governor Malloy involved with that. These are people who are involved with crimes in on and off locations in East Hartford. Criminal uses of exploited um, men and women, police forms, and overt associated with the exploited women with stripper clubs, for example. In other words, these are natures of police forms that are maintained victim predator in relationship to what keeps all fake, and not realizing that we never had integrity, we never had logic, let free speech, we never had logic taken from criminal insidious nature speaking for it. So we have identity theft rackets. We have a whole bunch of people with the Leahy family that forges names and switches names with various natures of courts that stack the obligations and needs for us to demonstrate this. But then they have a whole bunch of people making opinions criminally, dishonestly, offensively, and then you have to fight with people you don't even know, and the people you only know of, and only in context they can't be honest about, and that's with them mixed with this Joshua Julian, for example, with a whole bunch of people with police forms associated with uses of Facebook, with New Britain Superior Court and with Wethersfield Police, uses of their Facebook page, uses of the Facebook page of New Britain Superior Court and of campuses' Facebook pages for their crime method roles, crime and acts. These are database crime roles. They're using Facebook, then they defend their policing. They do that by pretending that they're against behavior. That, in other words, they're lying about our behavior because they're involved with identity thefts. They're involved with preventing mandated law. This is how they're using women. A whole bunch of women associated with the judges with the identity theft clicks, fake news. We have sick prosecutors. You can't see that. We're going to examine what's been on top of the areas we're shooting, like north end of Hartford, how they built this. Then now it's double family house, now triple family. How they built this to exploit it from on off locations. Man, this is into everything too. Where it's worse. It's only worse to not follow mandated law. That means instant evolution. Instant. Only thing then is gradual is how great it is. Or if it starts going away, to catch it. Here, I'm going to be on law because I'm not a lawyer, but I'll delineate the delusions from their criminal foreign influence intercities, intercampuses, through time. Time! Campus Marcius needs the name return. All gather here. We're going to have the passions and emotions work one way alone, or they keep us hurt. Now put sequence true. I tell it too. I'll tell little lies. See two sides. All real lies. All right.